What's going on, everybody? It's Matt and Coach at the FF Mediators, and we are live today to answer your questions. We're going to do some buy sell on some players, talk some fantasy football. How are we doing, Coach?
What's up, guys? I want to take a minute before we get started to talk about sort of what's going on in Western North Carolina and upstate South Carolina right now, which is Hurricane Helene has ravaged our community. It's been really complete destruction. I don't know how much some of you guys know about me, but I've been a coach for 20 years and I've seen a lot of things in my time, but I've not seen anything close to this. It's been really terrible in our community in McDowell County in particular. Um, if any of you guys feel it on your heart at all to give or help, then we're going to connect a link to the comment section if anybody would like to do that. Um, Also, just if you're a praying person, pray for our community. There's a lot of really bad destruction around us. I got power back day before yesterday. It's still kind of glitchy, so I did not get to see a ton of football this weekend. Obviously, um, any little bit helps. We just appreciate all you guys thinking about us and keep praying for us.
Yeah, it's a little different when it hits close to home. Like Coach said, it's where we're both from. He's living there now. Tyler, he's there as well. So it's been pretty damaging, and the pictures are insane. So we
Mhm.
appreciate any relief that anybody gives to our community. It's important to us, but we're happy to be here. We're happy to talk some football, and we've already got one question, Coach. So let's dive into this trade from Sam. And he asks, "Would you trade Amari and Njoku for Metcalf and Pitts?" And he lists out his team here, and he also lists out the opponent's starting lineup. So, what are your thoughts, Coach?
I mean, to me, I'm more. Metcalf's the guy I want of these four. In his starting lineup, he's got Ferguson. I'm not. Njoku is probably better than Pitts, but give me Metcalf. It's the best player in the deal. I'd rather have Metcalf.
Yeah, I think I'd rather have Metcalf too. I mean, we've kind of talked a little bit about Pitts and, is it time to start moving on and giving up? And I think it probably is, but Metcalf's he's the best player in the deal. Gino's leading the league in passing. I'll take Metcalf here. Amari's been really good. He's had a bunch of targets. The points kind of haven't followed, so I do expect that to change. So watch for that going forward. But for me, it's the Metcalf side here.
Yep.
Hot Take City says, "What's going on? How's it going, my friend? What are you doing tonight?" I saw you just went live. We had some connection issues, so we couldn't jump in over there, but we will try and do that next time. And Steve asked a question, Coach. He says, "Brown, Pittman, Waddle, JMO, Worthy, JSN, Leggett are all my wide receivers. Who would you trade up for? Jones. I also have Carr to offer." What do you think, Coach? I think if I'm moving
What?
anybody, it's Leggett.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, I agree. I mean, he's the worst of the bunch. I mean, Waddle, there's an issue there, but I'm moving Leggett if I can. You just can't get as much return for him. Probably Waddle or Pittman if you can't get off of Leggett.
Yeah, I think Waddle would be an interesting person to tear off of. It's going to be hard because a lot of people aren't buying with Tua not being there, so that's definitely going to be something you're going to have to work through. Pittman, he had a good week with Joe Flacco, so now might be a good time to strike, especially if Anthony Richardson's going to come back. It's going to be a completely different offense than it was this past week.
Yep.
All right, Hot Take says, "I just traded Ayuk for Rome and Zay. He's 2-2 in a league, a PPR league. It's a keeper league, Coach. You okay with this trade?"
Oh yeah, totally. I mean, Ayuk is not the one. I mean, Juwan Jennings is even still in his shine now. Who had another decent day again Sunday. He had 3 for 88 or something. I'd much rather have Roman Zay. Now Zay, I don't know. There's a lot more upside though there with Rome and Zay also.
Yeah, I think for me as well, I'm with Rome and Zay. Ayuk has been really a disappointment thus far, and you've been screaming all off season. Debo's the one, and Ayuk is not the one. We've had a lot of discussion that they didn't even really seem like they felt like they would have Ayuk at this point in time of the season. Felt like they would probably trade him.
Yeah, and I sort of I don't know. I kind of feel like they wish they had to a certain extent. I saw he was causing some problems in practices this week too. I don't know, man.
Yeah, I'm not sure what to make of the problems he was causing. I saw some of it was like he wore the wrong colored shorts or whatever, and maybe there's something to that, maybe there's not. But for me, I'm sticking with Roman Zay. There's a lot of upside there. All right, George says, should I trade Mason for Bijan or A Chain? Woo. Non PPR. My other running backs are Barkley and Gibbs.
God,
That's
loving life right there.
Yeah, no doubt.
I would say yes. Me and Matt have talked a lot about Bijan. I'm a Bijan owner, and I couldn't be more disappointed. But at the same time, who's going to be the running back in San Fran when you need him the most in come playoff time? Is McCaffrey back? If McCaffrey's back and Mason goes back in the backup role, then I would possibly rather have Bijan or A Chain. That's just my thinking.
Here's my thoughts. If you have Barkley and Gibbs, you have two really good running backs. I'm swinging for the fences. Give me A Chain. Give me the guy that could drop 40 in a week. I'm just going to go all in. I think I'm going to take Devon A Chain. I know it's not been great so far, but unfortunately, that's the story with a lot of people.
Well, here's the question: is Bijan good? I mean, that's a legit question where people are asking. I'm asking it.
Yeah, let's take a second and talk about Bijan. I mean, I know you said you're a Bijan owner. I think I only have one share of Bijan to this point, but it hasn't been what you paid the price for.
Not even close. Like not even remotely close. And we can blame the Falcons coaching staff, but for whatever reason, a new staff comes in and it gets the same exact situation. Maybe that's because he's not actually that much better than Algier.
I mean,
he's running back 20 so far. He's RB 20 fantasy wise so far.
In weeks 1 through 3, I mean, he dominated the snap percentage, had 89, 75, and 82% of the snaps. So Algier wasn't on the field that much. But last week, Bijan only had 64% of the snaps. How concerned are you with that?
Oh, I'm very concerned. I mean, I don't know. He looks the part, but for whatever reason, two different coaching staffs now don't think he is. So that screams to me.
And it helps too, that they did have the 1 week, or excuse me, last week he had a touchdown that was called back on a penalty. So that would have certainly changed his day, but there's no denying that it's not been pretty so far. So it's going to be interesting to see how they handle that going forward and kind of what the Falcons end up doing, because right now there are a whole bunch of fantasy relevant players that aren't really performing. It goes beyond Bijan. It goes to Pitts and it goes to Drake London too.
Yeah, I'm still hanging in there with Bijan for now, but I mean, I'm evaluating and watching. I'm nervous.
Yeah, I agree. Steve says copy. Thank you. We appreciate your question. Thanks for being here, Steve. And you too, Hot Take City. We appreciate that. George says it'll be nuts that I have Bijan as a flex. That is pretty crazy. I mean, that's a good problem to have. I mean, here we are talking about how worried are we, but I would gladly put him in my flex if I had to.
Yeah, I don't want to play you.
All right, Donald says Jennings or Wicks. I would love to hear what your thoughts are, Coach. Are you buying into this? Wicks could be. I saw a lot of people saying he's going to be a wide receiver top 20 at the end of the season. Do you believe that?
Shoot, no, not yet. I don't. But Jennings, I'm starting to wonder. Like he's gained a little more traction. This past week with me. I'm gonna say Jennings and not feel real good about it, but I'm gonna say Jennings.
Jennings, he had the 41-point week 2 weeks ago, which if you played him, I would love to see the receipts of that because wow, way to reap the benefit there. And last week against New England, he had 10 points. So it's definitely interesting given his opportunity. We'll see who all is going to play. But I'm not sure that I want to buy into Wicks, but if I'm having to pick between the two of these, I'll probably take Wicks just for the long-term play. Oh, I think I lost your voice there, Coach. There we go.
Yep, got you back. So Dobbs is the guy I'm out on in Green Bay. ultimately. We've been saying Jaden Reed's the one. Jaden Reed is clearly the one to me. Wicks very well may be the two, and Jennings could possibly also be the two in San Fran. So
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see. Let's move on here, Coach. We got Will Hayes. He says, "Who should I drop to pick up Xavier Leggett? Emmanuel Wilson, Tajay Spears, or Javante Williams?" Ooh, man.
ooh, that's a tough one. I would say Emmanuel Wilson.
I
If
think
this is dynasty, I want Leggett. I would rather have Leggett than at least two of these guys.
mhm.
I might hang on to Javante a little bit longer, but I mean Leggett has a lot of upside. If it's redraft, I don't know.
Yeah, I think redraft, in which I imagine this is a redraft question. I would drop Emmanuel Wilson,
Yeah,
just because he's the guy he's truly a handcuff right now. I mean, Tajay Spears, you can play. Javante, you can play if you have to. Um, Javante for me has been a sell for since he got in the league. I don't want the share. I've been moving off any shares that I do have, but I do think that there's a world where Javante can be better because this team has been so bad, and he might be the only juice that they have.
yeah, I agree. I mean Tajay. I mean you can play him, but you can't feel great about it.
Mhm.
With each passing week, you can play Leggett a little more. I would rather have Leggett than all three of these guys if I had to choose. So I'd start with Wilson and really work my way left to right there.
Yeah, I agree. What's going on, Pete? Pete says traded Pitts in a package, got Njoku. Who do you prefer this year, Coach? Pitts or Njoku?
Oh, Njoku. I do not think I've been maintained this for years now. Pitts is not good. This just in, Pitts is overrated. Sorry.
Yeah, I can't remember who said it, but I was watching a video and someone was saying that he has the worst traits of both the position of wide receiver and tight end, and which just makes him the worst possible player in the NFL. So it's interesting that it hasn't been able to switch over with the athletic unicorn that he's been labeled to be. But I'm with you. Give me Njoku. We'll see what happens when he gets healthy. But Pitts has just had so many opportunities and he's done nothing with it.
And Matt was a big Pitts believer. Don't let him fool you.
I was. I did. I liked Pitts a lot. I didn't get a single share, to be honest. I couldn't afford it. Um, but that happens sometimes. I'm glad it didn't work out. Let's see. Pete says, any concern about Shakir? Hasn't eclipsed more than 6 targets in an offense with not a lot of playmakers. Josh Allen hasn't thrown more than 30 passes this season. Tough schedule coming up.
Uh, so me along with Pete, we're big Khalil Shakir believers. There's not a lot of targets going around in Buffalo in general. Lots in the running game. Allen running the ball, of course, Cook running the ball. There's definitely concern with Shakir. I'm looking to move him if I can. At the same time, if he's a flex guy for me, I'm hanging in there because he still finds a way to produce decent numbers each week if possible. He's a guy that if he could jump into a touchdown or two next week and I can sell high, then I'm considering it. If not, I'm gonna hang around and I still think he's gonna be the guy. Keon Coleman's not really gonna take over that role, I don't think. It's interesting to me that Josh Allen's throwing the ball to his tight end a little bit more. All of a sudden, I think Kincaid led the team in targets this past week. But still, there's concern on Shakir, more so concern with the entire Buffalo passing game as a whole, possibly.
Yeah, and I saw Pete's trade that he did with the Shakir, and it was for Christian Kirk. So, who would you rather have the rest of the year, Christian Kirk or Shakir?
I'd rather have Shakir probably,
I think I'd
and
rather have Kirk.
I mean,
And I
I
think there's
get
a
it.
little bit of concern with Shakir that although he's been the best wide receiver for the Bills, his snap percentage is still not that high. So he's only on the field about half the time, which is concerning to me. I mean, the targets are there for now, but you're right. There's a big change in this offense, and Allen is thrown to who's open. He's not just hyper fixating on one person. So it's a
Mhm.
different Bills team. I actually like this Bills team better. The run game looks fantastic.
I mean, what receiver is going to get the ball there more than Shakir? It's not going to be Keon Coleman.
Mm-mm.
So I mean, if he's going to throw to a receiver, I still think Shakir's going to end up being the guy there.
Yeah, I agree. Shakir would be my Bills wide receiver one if I had to pick one, but I'm fine with the trade that Pete did. Give me Kirk. I think he's going to be a better flex play for at least the
Yeah.
next 4 weeks and probably for the season overall.
Yeah.
All right, Coach, this is going to be a fun one. Baker or Fields? What are your thoughts?
Baker, and it's not close.
Baker,
Now,
and it's not close. Yeah, I agree.
Fields had a nice fantasy day the other day, but I saw them talking today about whether Tomlin seemed a little unsure about when Russell Wilson gets back, if Russell Wilson's going to be the quarterback. Like there's real thoughts there that could be the case. And Baker has really been playing well. What do you think, Matt?
I mean, we're talking about Justin Fields QB6 on the year, so let that soak in for a second. But I'm totally with you. I'm starting Baker. I don't trust Fields. I know you don't trust Fields, and it's inflated by last week's game. He scored 32 points. He was QB1 on the week. It was a great week if you started him, but if you started him the first 2 weeks of the season, you got 11 points, and you're probably not happy. And Baker has played really, really well. This offense is moving the ball. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Baker's QB3 on the season. And did the Steelers win that game when Justin Fields played really well? Scored a lot of fantasy points? No.
He did not.
No.
I mean, then this has kind of been the story of Fields. Is you and I both talked about it. His numbers are always inflated, and it's not pretty when you watch the game too. It's still not pretty. So, and the fact they're even considering starting Russell Wilson is interesting to me. Like the team's 3-1, and here we are talking about benching the quarterback.
Yeah, and a lot of it is the games that they've won that they didn't score many points in. I mean, it just is what it is. So, I mean, I think that factors in. Fields is really good for fantasy when Fields plays, but Fields doesn't win football games a lot of times, so then he gets benched. So if you get stuck with Fields the last 6 weeks and Russell Wilson's playing quarterback, you're out. There's no one taking Baker Mayfield's job.
Yeah, it's Baker for us. All right, let's move on to Jose. Jose says, I got Christian Kirk and DJ Moore as my wide receiver 1 and 2. I need 2 flexes. Who should I start? Brandon Ayuk, Shakir, Rashid Shaheed, or Jordan Addison? Need help, please. Who are you flexing, Coach?
If I'm picking 2 flexes there, I would take Ayuk and Shakir. I mean, that's just me. I have a little concern about DJ Moore at the moment, to be honest, but I would still start him if that was my group to pick from. So I'm Ayuk and Shakir there.
I think I'm Ayuk and Shakir too. I do want to look up Shaheed really quick, though. There's something I want to double check. Yeah, man, I don't know. I think I'm going to go Ayuk and Shaheed. Shaheed had 11 targets last week. He's had 5 the other weeks. Bunch of yardage. Although it didn't work out in week 3, week 4, he only had the 12 points, but 8 catches for 83 yards. I'm going to chase that touchdown this week against Kansas City. I think this might be a get-right game for Kansas City too. Score some points. Try and flex on offense a little bit after all the talk this week and see if Patrick Mahomes is going to be fantasy relevant or not fantasy relevant. That's been a hot topic.
Yeah, chase the volume, right?
Yeah.
I get it.
And then he asked us one more question. Caleb Williams or Sam Darnold this week? Ooh. Who would have thought we would be talking about this question? Sam Darnold or Caleb Williams? The Bears, they're playing Carolina, right?
They are. So he's got a good, favorable matchup. I mean, is he referring to just this week, I'm guessing?
That's
Or
my
in
guess.
general?
I think I'm going to start Caleb Williams. I think this might be his get-right game too. Score some touchdowns. Carolina's not good at all. Sam Darnold, he plays the Jets. Don't love that. I think the Jets defense is still good, despite all the off-field issues that they've got going on between Saleh and Rodgers and Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall. I mean, there's issues all over the place with that offense. But I think their defense.
Well, I think if it's just this week, it's Caleb Williams. If you're looking throughout the whole season, Sam Darnold. So
yeah, I'm with you. Caleb this week, season Darnold for me as well. College Sports Sayer says traded Sam Darnold and Braylon Allen for Cooks. Is this a good trade? I have Taylor and he's hurt.
Probably a good trade as long as you have another quarterback that you can play. I mean, I don't know what your quarterback room looks like. Sam Darnold is playing out of his mind. So if you're not playing Darnold, then it's a good trade for you. If you
Yeah.
needed Darnold as your starting quarterback, then that's a different story.
And I'm not sure if you were here last week, College Sports Sayer, but
Well, no, he says he has Josh Allen as his quarterback.
okay,
Yes,
you're
good
set.
trade. Good
Yeah,
trade.
great trade. Great trade. Yeah, there's not much more to say after that, but I'll give him this nugget. Last week, Coach, I think it was last week, he said that he believes Cook will finish as RB1 on the season. So let's watch and see if that happens, and I hope he does for you and all the teams that I have him. All right, Christ Save says, should I trade DK, Dak, and Chase Brown for Saquon and Jalen Hurts? 16-man league, full PPR. I'm currently starting Amari Cooper at the flex. So if I made this trade, Josh Jacobs would slide into the flex. How you feel about this, Coach?
I like the trade.
I think I
really
want
do.
Saquon and Hurts, honestly.
Yeah, me too.
I think Hurts has the higher upside over Dak. DK is playing out of his mind right now, so there's no denying that. Chase Brown, I don't know how much you can really predict when you're going to play him, but Saquon's got the ability to give you the boom weeks, and he's already done it so far this season. So I like the ability to put flex Josh Jacobs and put those two guys in your starting lineup.
Yep, totally agree.
And he adds that he also has Cooper Kupp. So once he's back, my wide receiver 2 behind Marvin Harrison Jr. Oh yeah, then I'm totally fine with this trade. Give me Saquon and Hurts.
Well, interesting too is Jalen Hurts hasn't played great throughout the year. He's still quarterback 9. Dak's quarterback 7. Not a
huge disparity, but I do think Saquon
and Hurts is going to play better.
Yeah, I think Saquon's probably going to help his running back room a lot if he's going to be able to move Josh Jacobs down into his flex.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Camilo says, should I accept a trade where I'm getting Garrett Wilson and giving up Ayuk and Zay Flowers? Coach has been he's a Garrett Wilson believer. I'm going to let you take the lead on this one. I was texting today just to sort of tick him off, saying Garrett Wilson's not good.
Yeah, it's first of all, it's easily that's easily done. Let's not kid ourselves. Yeah, Garrett Wilson. I still think Garrett Wilson's a better player than Ayuk and Zay Flowers.
I would agree.
Rodgers definitely showing some frustration there. I would rather have Garrett Wilson than those two, although I am a little bit down on Garrett Wilson as a whole from what I was 4 weeks ago.
I mean, I guess this really comes down to what's on your team. If you can afford this move, then I'm fine with it. If this is going to kill all your depth, and we're talking about something different, but I think Garrett Wilson, he's going to do better. I think he's probably going to get 10 targets or more this week. I mean, he's been complaining about how he's not being used and the offense isn't doing things that are, different than everybody else, I think is what his words were. So I expect a good week for Garrett Wilson, a good week for Aaron Rodgers, and let's see what happens.
Yeah, or different, or he basically said it wasn't as creative as other people's offenses.
Which, do you believe that to be true? I mean, I've watched and they struggle to move the ball at all.
See, here's the thing, I think this is players, this is us. Sometimes we just take one game and it's like the whole sky is falling in one game. Well, 2 weeks ago, he was unreal on Thursday night. We're talking about this Jets offense is insane. Right? I mean, does anybody remember that? So,
it was 2 weeks ago.
I mean, come on.
This is what have you done recently, world?
No, I know. I get it. I totally get it. But I wouldn't say the Jets offense is useless just yet. Aaron Rodgers will probably be okay. They also may spread it around. There's also a world where Garrett Wilson might not be as good as I had hoped he was.
Which time will tell on that one. He adds that Chase Brown is riding his bench too. So yeah, that just solidifies this trade. Just get it done, my friend. Get it done. Jose asks us, Coach, Khalil Shakir or Jordan Addison for Wicks? Green Bay wide receiver. If you're asking are you asking who do you start or who do you drop? Or are you doing a trade? Can you clarify that for us in the comments, Jose? We'll come back to that one because what any thoughts, Coach?
Yeah, well, I think he's saying which one of these guys do I trade for him? Maybe.
Okay, he says drop for Wicks.
Oh,
There you go. He clarifies.
whoa.
Okay, so do you drop Khalil Shakir or Jordan Addison for Wicks?
I mean, not really. I mean, it's all those three guys are sort of the same player at the moment, except Shakir is the number one wide receiver on his team. He just is. I mean, in that wide receiver room, maybe he's throwing the ball to Dalton Kincaid a little more, but Shakir is still their number one wide receiver. Addison's always playing second fiddle to Jefferson. Wicks is going to play second fiddle to Jaden Reed in our eyes. So,
yeah, and like you just said, we've talked a lot about Jaden Reed, and he's been a player that we both really like. We both believed he was the one in the offseason, where I think we both continue to believe he's the one. Wicks had a really good game, but I'm not sure I'm ready to anoint him as the new wide receiver one of the Packers or any sort of thing like that. I want to see more. And to Addison's credit, last week he played well. He scored. He had 21 points, so it was a big day. I understand that one of those was a rushing touchdown, so probably doesn't repeat itself. But I think I'm going to hold on to Shakir and Addison here, and just kind of hold for there. Want to appreciate everybody for jumping in the stream today, joining us. Be sure to comment your questions, let us know your thoughts. Follow us on YouTube, follow us on X at the FF Mediators, and we'll continue to answer your questions. If you have a question you need answered right away, if you drop a super chat, then we will for sure jump to that and answer your question and spend some time on that one. But Coach, let's move on to Adam here, who says, in a 6-point passing touchdown league, start one, Watson, Lawrence, Jones, or Rodgers?
there's your favorite player, Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, you're not wrong there.
Oh God, that's a tough crew there. I'm probably going to go with Trevor Lawrence.
I
Can't believe I
think
just
I'm
said
going
that.
Lawrence too. And it doesn't feel great. The Giants, they're playing Seattle at Seattle. Don't love Daniel Jones up there. Trevor, he's going to be taking on Indy, so it's a favorable matchup. It's at home, and the offense needs to get right this week. They've got to get a win because I truly believe that Doug Peterson is fighting for his job right now. So I expect them to do everything they can to try and win. If you want to play Rodgers over those guys, I don't think I'm going to fight you too much. So,
yeah, it's definitely not Watson or Jones. So,
yeah,
either Lawrence or Rodgers, I'd be comfortable with.
Yeah, I'm totally fine with either one of those. And like we've already said a couple times, I expect the Jets offense to kind of hyper fixate on some things, including getting Bijan and Garrett Wilson involved early. Adam also asks us, Parkinson, Conklin, or Hill, start one. And this is going to be Taysom Hill, I'm assuming, since these are all tight ends. I'm a Parkinson guy. I really like Colby Parkinson. He hasn't really done too much, but he's on the field nonstop. So I think the touchdown's coming eventually. Tyler Conklin. I don't really feel great about starting Conklin. And Taysom Hill, he just gets it done, man. I feel like I'm just going to start Taysom Hill because all three of these guys could give you a goose egg. Only one of them, I think, can score 20 points, and I think that's Taysom Hill.
Yeah, I totally agree with that, except for the fact that Conklin got like 8 targets this past week. He got more targets than Dalton Kincaid. Rodgers has been going there a lot. Like for me, it's Hill, Conklin, Parkinson in that order. I don't hate any of them. Don't love any of them.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of know what you're getting into when you're picking between these three. It's not exactly the most fun in the world, but I mean, you're not wrong in the fact that Tyler Conklin, he did have 8 targets last week. He had 6 the week before, so the targets are coming in. I'm just not sure that I'm comfortable putting him in my lineup because if you've started him at all this year, it's been pretty rough. He had 1 point week 1, 1.5, 11.8, and then 3.7. So he's not really helping your fantasy team. I'm going to take Taysom Hill just on the shot that he scores a touchdown.
Yeah, I get it.
Well, we've answered all our questions here, Coach. So if you guys have another question, please be sure to put it in the comments, and we'll jump back to those. Is there any buy, sell, hold players, Coach, that you want to bring up right now?
Yeah. Tell me your thoughts again about Trevor Lawrence. Like, he had a very mediocre day this past week.
He did. It was not. It's another experience of where this team continues to just spin out on offense, and it feels like every time they take a step forward, they take 2 steps back right away. I have concerns with Lawrence so far this season. I have hopes that he can turn it around, and I think there are better days ahead. But it certainly feels like the Jags are searching for answers, and so far they've found nothing. I've actually sold a couple of my Lawrence shares, which is probably surprising to you, but I mean, I'm entertaining offers because the one share I did sell, I sold for a first and for Lad McConkey. And the first that I got is currently the 101. So I feel pretty good about that trade. A lot of people in the league were shocked that we were able to get it done, but that was Tyler and myself. So hopefully that trade pans out and it stays as the 101 because that would be huge for my team.
Yeah, totally. And I know a guy that sold Stephon Diggs this week.
Oh, yeah.
In a dynasty league for Rashee Rice.
Yeah, that one got a lot of talk. I mean, Rashee Rice, the injury question's still a little bit unanswered, but you moved off Stephon Diggs on a team that you're rebuilding. I love it. I mean, you're going to get Rice back. Is he going to be what he was? Maybe not, but he's probably going to be worth more than Diggs in a year or two.
Yep, full rebuild, tanking a little bit. This is what it is. You kind of do what you got to do. Move off Diggs. He's 30 years old. Re-roll it with Rice. Top 5 wide receiver, probably, as long as he comes back healthy next year. It's worth a shot.
Yeah, and I mean, like Coach said, we talk a lot about dynasty. That's kind of what we focus on most of the time. And you know, you did one of our tips and tricks. You evaluated your team. You determined that you needed to make a move and you needed to start tanking. And you moved off of an older vet and you got a young guy. So it's going to be great.
Yep. So yeah, and that's something. This is now that part of the season where you got to start going. Okay, if I know I'm really bad, get in on it early. You don't want to decide that week 13. You want to decide that now.
And you also, right now, you can take advantage of people who think they're going to have a team that's going to win it all. So if you can look at their team and you think, man, there's a lot of holes there, and they're selling their first, trying to buy players, that's the first I'm looking for. I don't want to sell a player for a first at the end of the year where you know you're giving it to the contender who's the favorite, and it's probably going to be the 111 or the 112. I want to see how high I can get that first. Like I just said with the Lawrence trade, I currently have the 101 and the 102 as it stands right now, and that's not going to change more than likely.
Yep. I mean, I totally agree with that. I see we've got a lot more questions coming in. Guys, don't forget to like and subscribe. The more you guys like it, the better it helps us and it gets more attention and we can get more people in here.
Yeah, well, let's keep jumping on, Coach. We got Tron Forson here. He says, with Barkley and Monty on bye, he needs 2 running backs for this week. It's a PPR league. Braylon Allen, Alexander Madison, Mostert, Emmanuel Wilson, Trey Sermon. If Jonathan Taylor is out, who are the 2 you're picking? I think the easy one's Trey Sermon if JT's out.
But to me, this is easy for me. Trey Sermon and Madison. They were very clear in. I almost said Oakland, but in Vegas that they're going to go with Madison more. Pierce loves Madison. He made it very, very clear that he was going to get more run this week. So Madison and Sermon for me.
Yeah, I think I'm Sermon. I might look Mostert's way, but I need to check and see was there any update on his availability for the game. Are you know anything about that, Coach?
I do not. I do know that when he plays, he is productive.
Yeah, let me get this pulled up here.
I'm seeing not expected to play. He did practice. He was limited though.
Yeah, if he plays, I might be interested, given the fact that he hasn't played since week 1. I don't know about that. So I'm probably gonna go. I'm gonna go Braylon Allen and Trey Sermon here. I'm gonna go different than you with Madison. The snap percentage has been awful for Madison. I'm not really thrilled to start anybody in the Raiders offense, the Las Vegas Raiders coach, not the Oakland Raiders. Um, but if I can get away with Braylon Allen, I'm going to try and start Braylon Allen here.
Yeah. Okay.
College Sports Slayer says, any changes to my starting lineup? Josh Allen, Hubbard, Cooks, Pickens, Wicks, Josh Downs, Kittle, and Irving. Bench, he has Harris and Rashid Shaheed. I think
Rashid Shaheed over Josh Downs. To me, I want Shaheed in there over Josh Downs without a doubt. Hubbard in your running back room, that's a guy that's been cooking. I like Hubbard there. I like your running back situation over Harris. I do love Shaheed, though, over Josh Downs.
Yeah, I think I'm going to bench Downs here as well. I'll take Rashid Shaheed. Downs is it more interesting to you if Flacco plays?
Absolutely. I mean, he's a better passer. Colts played better when he came in and played the other day. Like, he just is a better pocket passer. Therefore, the wide receivers get more involved. There was not a coincidence that Michael Pittman, his role increased when Flacco became the quarterback. So if that was the case, then maybe. But Shaheed.
And a lot of people will point to, he had a couple catches with Richardson prior to Flacco coming in the game. But I'm with you. There's no denying the offense looked totally different with Flacco in it. There's just something about a vet who knows where everybody's supposed to be, knows the read, and just gets the ball out. And that's something we've talked a lot about that Richardson struggles with. So it's going to be interesting to see if Richardson plays or if they kind of start to falter a little bit. Is this going to be a little bit like the Carolina Panthers, where people start demanding Flacco to play in the game?
Yep.
All right, Daniel Cap says, fellas, it was a waste to drop Sutton for Leggett. Who would you rather have, Sutton or Leggett? Sutton has not played well so far this season. Leggett has been getting better each week, as Coach said. Coach got to actually watch him down at training camp this year, and you said he looked pretty good. He looked like an athletic specimen.
Man, he is a physical freak. Now, people are like Sutton a little bit because he called a touchdown Sunday, and but Leggett is ascending. I would rather have Leggett than Sutton.
I think so too. I mean, looking at Cortland Sutton's targets here does have me question a little bit. He had 12 targets week 1, 4 the next week. Week 3 he had 11. Then last week he had 9. Now, unfortunately, he's not really doing anything with those. If Pete's still in here, I'd love to see him comment and tell us who he thinks. He's a Denver Broncos fan, so I don't know if I'm ready to start Leggett. I think I'm going to go Sutton as my final answer, just because I think Deontay's still the one in Carolina. But, I can't blame you if you want to take the shot because it's not like Sutton's been helping you too much.
Yeah.
And Pete says, doing great, fellas. Don't forget to like the show. Yes, do not forget to like the show. Be like Pete and like that show, folks. Follow, subscribe. If you got a question, send us a super chat. We'll get to you first. You can jump the line. So we'll keep rolling on here. Trone Force says, someone rage dropped Ridley. Is he worth picking up? I like the idea of a rage drop.
Now, that sounds like 100% like something I would do because nobody gets on and off players faster than me. So
that is true. If I could describe Coach in one word, it would be a clock. And the clock is he rotates between when it's a time to buy a player, sell a player, hate a player, love a player, then buy him again. So he bounces around all over the place. It's a funny story. I can tell you all about all those players. But
hey, you got to keep it fresh. I want the guys playing well right now.
yeah. So would you pick up Ridley? I mean, I guess it depends on what you're dropping, but I think I would pick him up if he's there.
Yeah, if I can afford to drop somebody off the trash heap, then absolutely.
Yeah, and he mentions that he has D-Hop. I get it, but I think I'm going to pick up Ridley if I can. It's not been pretty, but you just don't know. I'm not ready to write that off yet.
Yeah, it's weird. The quarterback situation there's a mess.
Oh, a nightmare. Jacob Scott says, I'm looking to trade Kyron. My record is 1-3. I'm looking for a solid receiver and a running back. Any advice? He also adds, I'm going to jump down to his next comment too, Coach. We'll come back to our advice. He adds, I have A.J. Brown as well. I'm not sure what to do with him considering I'm 1-3, but need to turn my season around fast. How do you feel about moving off Kyron, Coach? Is that something you are interested in doing?
He's played well. It's possible you can get off of Kyron and get to I don't know. We actually mentioned the name Joe Mixon type somewhere in there, or like a Zach Moss plus a receiver.
Yeah, I guess if it depends on what player you want to get in return. If you want a big running back or if you want a big receiver. He says he needs a solid receiver, so let's focus on that for a second. Is there a world where you can move him and maybe go get Devonta Smith?
Possibly, yeah. I mean, possibly. It depends on what the rest of the running back room looks like for him.
Yeah,
my question was, can I get rid of Kyron for somebody like, I don't know, Kyron and somebody off your bench for Zach Moss and Deontay Johnson? Does that make you better? I don't know. Depends on what your running back room looks like.
Yeah, I think that's a good point of, what are we trying to replace? How many points are we trying to add to the roster? Are you interested in a name like Jackson Smith-Njigba?
Down here he says he only has Kyron and James Conner as running back.
Ooh, yeah, that's a big jump off. So I think you're going to need someone coming back your way. And if we're doing that, then you might be able to buy the dip on Joe Mixon, like Coach said, since he's been injured. But, I mean, that's going to be scary. I mean, it's going to be really scary here for a little bit with the injury of knowing those are your only two running backs.
Yeah, and yeah, I agree. It's tough. That's a tough one there. AJ Brown, that might be a guy you can tear down off of AJ Brown, possibly, if you want to go there.
I think that might be the better route. I would probably keep Kyron and James Conner and then look to move off of AJ Brown and see if you can get someone like, Jackson Smith-Njigba and Joe Mixon or something like that, where you can still get two players that you can start right now and kind of add depth for your team. Just kind of throwing out names. I mean, would you rather have George Pickens?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good one. Yeah, that's possible.
Yeah.
I wouldn't really have George Pickens and AJ Brown, but I mean, if that's what we're trying to do, if we're trying to tear down, then possibly.
Yeah. Message us, Jacob. We'll see if we can't help you find a trade and look for something there. Something we like to do too. So you can give us some more details on your team and your league mates and see if we can't find something there. Let's move to let's get back up here. I lost my place. Here we go. Christ Safe says, what is Davante Adams' outlook rest of season? Better, worse, etc.? I know it's hard to tell. Just wanted your thoughts.
Well, it depends on where he ends up, right? Sounds like there's a good chance he gets moved out of Vegas. I can make the argument he looks like he's lost a step a little bit too. Depends on where he ends up, whose quarterback is, and what that wide receiver room looks like. I mean, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree. There's a lot of drama swirling around the whole Davante Adams, and Pierce liked a picture that said he wished he was traded or something like that. So it's going to be interesting to see how it unfolds because they're on a clock with the trade deadline coming up. But a lot
is there
of people,
a world where he goes to the Jets?
Well, so people are mentioning the Jets. People are mentioning the Chiefs. I don't think the Chiefs happen. I don't think they're going to trade inside their division. The Jets is possible, but I don't know, man. It just kind of feels like he might not get moved at all. That's kind of what I feel like might happen because he just looks like a headache right now. Like you said, has he lost a step? I don't know. Washington's been linked to him as well. And I'm a Washington fan, and personally, I don't want that really to happen. Now, if he comes and he plays awesome, then I totally want that to happen. But I'm just not sure that it's the best move for the team given our situation. So, we'll see what happens. It's going to be interesting to see how that unfolds. But he's not playing this week, is what I've read. So,
yeah.
All right. Trump Force says Zamir White injured his groin at practice today, so Madison stock up. That's right. Coaches.
It was going. Yeah, it was going up anyway. It went up higher today. Yeah.
Yeah. Zamir White has just been kind of an interesting experience. There are a lot of people bought into him all off season. A lot of best ball people, preaching him as a underrated guy. I think our friend Disco was pumping him to be top 5, finishes RB5 on the season, and it does not look like anything close to that's going to happen. Zamir White has been awful. So we'll see. But I like Madison as well. Stock up. I don't want to play him if I can avoid it, but if you have to, I get it. Coach, watching the baseball playoffs is Braves. How's it going?
Not good. Down 3-1.
Oh, surely he didn't bet on the Braves.
No.
Pete says,
not tonight.
Yeah. Pete says, I'm still here. You guys are doing good. Sutton would be the safe play, but if you're looking for upside, Leggett. Yeah, I agree, Pete. Sums it up great. I mean, Sutton's going to be the consistency that we know. Is he going to play better? I don't know. We'll see. A lot of that rides on coach's guy, Bo Nix.
Yeah. Bo Nix to the moon.
Bo Nix to the moon. All right, Big E says, would you do Wilson and Etienne for Chase or like another elite wide receiver? I mean, I would be interested in it. Yeah. I would love to know the details on this. Are we talking dynasty? Are we talking redraft? What's your team look like? If I can move Wilson and Etienne and pull in a guy like, I don't know, Amon-Ra, I would be interested in something like that. But I guess it depends on your format.
Or even Chase. Or even Chase. I would totally do that. There's a quality tier up there.
Yeah. If you're still here, Big E, drop some comments on that. I'd love to know some more information about your team and, kind of what you're after. All right. Donald Smith says, Justin Fields or Kyler Murray? I'll answer this really quick. It's Kyler Murray for me.
Kyler Murray. Yeah.
Yeah. We've talked a lot about Fields. We're not really buying into it. Kyler feels like the safer play and also probably the higher upside.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Captain says, what's up? Great to see you again. Can you please let me drop Keon Coleman for Braylon Allen? Can I let you do it? You can do whatever you want, my friend. You do you. Keon's a bum.
Keon is Matt's favorite player. That is Matt's favorite player.
Yeah, he says that about a week and a half ago or 2 weeks ago, however long it was. We did a buy sell video, and my sell was Keon Coleman. So you don't have to ask permission from me. He had that one score on the big night where everybody for the Bills scored. So I'm fine with it. I don't really believe in Keon, but that's just me.
Yeah, I'm hanging on to Keon if it's dynasty. I mean, he's got potential there, but redraft, I'm moving on.
Yeah, I'm with you. If this is dynasty, obviously you're holding on Keon. You're holding on Allen too. Or if you're going to move him, you want something in return. And my Keon Coleman shares in dynasty, I'm doing everything I can to move him. Nobody wants them. I don't want them, but here we are.
Hey, right quick while I'm thinking about it, tell me your thoughts on the Buccaneers backfield. You're a big Bucky Irving guy, I know. But I saw something that interested me, that him and Rachaad White both got the exact same amount of carries and had the exact same amount of yards.
They did. You would be correct. They both had the same amount of yards, same amount of carries. I will tell you this much. I think we are approaching the time, folks, where this is going to become Bucky's backfield. I've been screaming by Bucky all offseason. His price has gone from being a mid-third to now he's close to an early second, and I'm still buying. His efficiency has been off the charts, and contrary to that, Rachaad White's efficiency has been awful since he got in the league. We're not talking about this year. We're not talking about last year. We're talking about the year before that too. Since he got to the Bucs, his efficiency has been really, really bad. I think Bucky has the balance, the vision, the juice. He's got the spark. He's got great hands. He's solid in pass pro. he can do everything that Rachaad White can do and more. So I'm buying Bucky Irving right now anywhere I can. I want all the shares. I think this is eventually going to be his backfield, and I've maintained that since he got drafted.
Yeah, well, I mean, dude is fast, and every week he gets a little more volume. So I'm with you there.
Yeah, and it's I don't mean that because I do think Rachaad White's still going to have his days because they're going to use both. Like the days of the bell cow are over. There's not many of those guys left, and Bucky Irving is by no means a bell cow. He's a smaller back, but I do think he can lead this backfield, and I think he will lead this backfield by the end of the season.
Yep, I mean that's 100% possible.
Yeah. Well, Hoff hopped in here. He said, "Great work, fellas. Everyone be sure to like and subscribe." I completely agree, Hoff. Everyone be sure to like and subscribe to all of our channels here. Be sure to follow and subscribe to the Face Off Sports Network. We are proud to be affiliates for them. Really enjoying doing content with them, working with them. Follow us over on X at the FF Mediators. Send us your questions, send us your teams. Let us know what you want to do, and we'll try and help you out. All right, we got some context here, Coach, on Big E's league. He said it's a 10-man league. Starting running backs are K9 and Mason. Wide receivers are Deontay, Johnson, Wilson, and Marv. On his bench, he has CMC, Ladd, Jonathan Brooks, Nick Chubb, and Sutton, and Etienne. So his original question was, would you move Wilson and Etienne for a guy like Chase?
Yeah, totally. Especially Chubb will be back soon, I think. CMC, when he comes back, you'll be set, ready to make a run.
Yeah, and
Especially
he
if
has
you
Mason.
if you get those guys, if you move those two and get somebody like Jamar Chase, yeah, you're looking good.
Yeah, I'm fine with doing something like that. And Chubb, if he comes off IR, like I saw they're going to activate him, that'd be huge
Yeah,
for this team.
absolutely.
All right, Chaka says, "Hey, would you trade Neighbors, Moss, and Hunt for Hill, Mixon, and Adams? PPR redraft. Have a really good wide receiver depth, so I can wait for their situation to get better." I don't think I'm doing that. Just off the rip here. I mean, who would you
Yeah,
rather
I
have,
don't want
Malik Neighbors or Tyreek Hill?
Neighbors by a lot. I don't want any part of Tyreek Hill or Devontae Adams. Really, Neighbors is far and away the best player, whether it's redraft or dynasty. I know this is redraft, but period, Neighbors is the best player in the bunch.
Yeah, we've been talking about Neighbors prior to going live, and we're working on our dynasty rankings, so hopefully we can get those ready. But for me, I have Malik Neighbors as my wide receiver 3 in dynasty, so I'm keeping Neighbors if I can. He looks like a generational talent. Don't care about the quarterback because the good ones get it done, and he's just proven that he's that good.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, Jacob says, still trying to figure out what kind of positions I should look into for trading AJ Brown. I only have 2 running backs, but my starting receiver is Moore, Shaheed, and Jawan Jennings in the flex. I don't think they're that solid, but I also only have 2 running backs. Yeah, you definitely need some depth and you need some help. So, if you can try and turn AJ Brown into another receiver and a running back, I think that probably helps your team. But you also don't want to just sell him just to get depth pieces. Like, make sure you're getting equal value.
Also, I was thinking about this question earlier, Jacob, after we moved on to something else. I had it on my mind still, and I was thinking about you could take a Kyron if you didn't feel great about Kyron Williams and you think it's a good time to move him, which I get. And you could move him possibly for like a Zach Moss and a Deontay Johnson type of move if you think that can make your team better. Like if you feel like that running back can hold up somewhat equally, or even a Joe Mixon maybe and a Deontay Johnson, because Kyron has done so well. When you take that swing and make your wide receiver room a little better, just something like that is the type of tear down we're talking about here.
Would you be interested in moving from Kyron to Brian Robinson?
That's a thought.
I mean, Brian Robinson, he's running back, I think 10 on the year, something like that. And you know, he's someone that a lot of people just tend to look down on. Um, and I think that's a good player where you can get the plus back to also get that better name wide receiver coming back your way since you're giving up Kyron. Um, or you could look at someone like James Conner. But I think he had Conner,
Yeah, I
right?
think he had
Yeah,
he
he
had
had Conner.
yeah, he had Connor.
Um,
Yeah. I like that. I like, something like Kyron for Brian Thomas Jr. or JMO, Deontay Johnson, those receivers in there, plus Brian Robinson.
mhm.
That's a
Or
possibility.
how do you feel about Aaron Jones? I don't think I've really gotten a take from you on that one. I've kind of told you it's still weird seeing him wear purple and it not be green, but he's kind of been running all over the place. 2 good weeks in a row.
Yeah, he's played really well. I think he's almost played too well to get that nice tear down element there is my concern with that.
Mhm.
But I do think if you think moving Kyron Williams from Brian Robinson Jr. and Brian Thomas Jr. or something like that, that's the kind of tear down that would make your team better.
Yeah, because you want to make sure whatever you're doing, you're just replacing points on your team. So if you're
Mhm.
moving the bigger name player and you can increase your flex positions projected points, from 6 to 12, that's good for your team. So just be sure that you're getting 2 players that you can play or start if you are going to move that big name player like Brown or Kyron Williams.
Yeah, if I'm trying to tear down and I move running backs and I go from just make up a number of 14 points to 12 points, but I make up 6 points in the flex, my team got better. So that's the kind of tear down you're looking to do there.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit, Coach, about Mark Andrews. What are you doing with Mark Andrews? Are you buying? You selling? Are you holding? It's not been great. 2 goose eggs in a row for the last 2 weeks. He had 1 target this past week, and it was a drop. So he is killing your roster right now. So what are you doing, Coach?
I think at this point with Mark Andrews, you're there's no point in moving him because you're not going to get anything for him. Um, so you're kind of just hoping and praying. You're sort of maybe even hoping and praying for one good game or one touchdown. Then you might can move him for a little something. But right now, you're just not going to get a whole lot for him.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same way. It's not gone great so far. I've seen a lot of trades on his dynasty value, kind of showing how his value has just plummeted over the last little bit, and people are trading him for seconds or thirds in a dart throw player, and that hurts, man. Like that's we're talking about a player who in the offseason was worth over a first.
Oh yeah, this offseason you could have moved him for goodness anything you wanted to, and now you can't get rid of him. So you might as well sit and hold, and like I said, just hope and pray it gets a little better.
Yeah, and I might just try and see if you can get that one spike week and pray that it's this weekend and then move them from there.
Well,
Just
let me
see what
ask
you can get.
this: if you don't have him, this is now the time to buy him for basically nothing.
If I can get in a league where someone is trading him for a third or something like that, which is not what I'm advising you would trade him for. If I'm in that league and I can buy him for that, I'm gonna do it. I'm just gonna take the shot, especially if I'm like a contender and this is a tight end premium league. I'm just gonna pay the third, see if it hits, and you know go from there. Because we've kind of talked off air, and maybe we talked about it last week. I've kind of questioned whether he's hurt or not. And I think there's a
Yeah,
world where they release some information that he's been playing hurt.
yeah. They keep trying to sort of massage this thing when it comes to like he's doing okay. We're going to use him. Blah blah blah. Well, they're not. So
Yeah,
I'm not sure. Something's up.
something is definitely up, and a lot of it has been, oh well, we're spreading the ball around, or we're just trying to find ways to get everybody involved, and to an extent that works, but eventually you got to see these guys produce, and he just hasn't done anything at all.
Right. Yeah, I totally agree.
Well, what about the rookie quarterbacks, Coach? Are there how are we feeling about Caleb Williams? I would love to get your report on Caleb Williams through 4 weeks this season.
Caleb Williams through 4 weeks. Caleb Williams has been average. Um, there's been some improvements. There's stuff you like about Caleb Williams. Um, he's been not been Jaden Daniels. to be honest. I think Caleb Williams is going to be a really solid quarterback in this league for a long time. Uh, People have real questions about the play calling and things like that in Chicago, and that's understandable. But the offensive line has to improve first. Jaden Daniels has been the real star of this quarterback class at this point. I mean, this guy's talk about taking over fantasy. I mean, this guy is blowing up. He's playing phenomenal. Bo Nix took a little bit of a step back this past week also. But, I mean, I still believe in Bo Nix. I still believe in Caleb Williams. Like, I think those three guys are going to be solid NFL quarterbacks, which is really what we're looking for.
Yeah.
Other guys remains to be seen. Will Drake May, is his time going to come soon? The Patriots continue to lose. Eventually, he's going to have to get in there and play, I think, too.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm interested to see May get in there. Obviously, we're gonna have to wait a little bit of time on Penix and JJ, but you're spot on. Daniels has been phenomenal. He has more scoring drives than he does incompletions on the year, and I will keep saying that stat all year, all week, just because it's been great. I'm a Washington fan. I haven't got to say anything like that for the last 15 years, but it's exciting. Caleb, I think he's looked fine. He's a little bit off with the wide receivers hitting the deep ball. But I think that's going to come. I think that's going to happen here soon. He's too talented, and he's escaping pressure and plays nonstop.
Yeah, he's a great athlete. There's no doubt. So there's a lot of upside with him for sure. See, Jacob circled us back here to the what if I offered AJ Brown for Brian Robinson and Garrett Wilson? I mean, I would try it. It's worth a shot. I don't know if it'll happen, but I would definitely take the swing.
Yeah,
All he can do is say no.
Yeah, all he can do is say no. I'd be fine offering that. I think Brian Robinson is going to give you some running back depth. He's played really, really well. Garrett Wilson, you're still going to have a big name receiver that you can plug and play and start without any issues. Isaac here, coach, says starting Purdy or Richardson against the Jags defense this week. Isaac, you are in luck because I think both of our answers will be in line. I will let coach go first and I will follow up.
Purdy.
Purdy for me as well. We are the two Anthony Richardson haters. So if you need some news on why not start Anthony Richardson, we are your two people. All right, Robert Glenn over on X says, won my league last year. Hell yeah, we love to hear that. We want the wins. Go get the chip again this year. Had the 101 due to the trade. Took Williams. Beating myself, I didn't take Jaden. Well, you did what everybody was doing, so you can't beat yourself up too much. And I don't think you need to get too worried about that because I think Jaden's going to come back down to earth a little bit because he's been playing out of his mind good. And I think Williams has been fine too. He's just not scoring touchdowns.
Yeah, I mean we're 3-4 weeks in their careers, so there's a lot to play out. Like I know you watch Jade and you're like, man, I wish I had him, but we got a long way to go here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and again, most quarterbacks don't play as well as Jaden Daniels has his first 4 games. Like that's not normal. So just hold tight on Caleb; he'll be okay.
Yeah, and a lot of that for Daniel's success too has been scheme. They've done a great job. He leads the league in getting the ball out of his hands the fastest. So he's getting quick reads, making the decision really fast. Obviously, he has the rushing upside that's probably better than Caleb's. While Caleb is a sneaky good athlete, he's still trying to look for that threat down the field.
Yeah, and Kingsbury's done a great job. He really has.
He's done fantastic. He just needs to keep scoring those points for me. That's fine with me. Tron Force says, I drafted Jaden Daniels as my only QB, and it's paying off so far. My friend, that is an understatement. It's going well for you.
No doubt. So you probably got him way down there too.
Yeah, you probably got a pretty good deal on him, and right now he's definitely outperforming to his ADP. So that is only helping your team, I imagine. So you're probably doing pretty well in your standings. All right, let's get to Robert Glenn's question here. Would you trade Tucker in a second for Mason?
That's a tough one. The Mason thing is so iffy to me because what's going to be the status 6 weeks from now when you really need it the most? That's a hard one.
I'm not sure if you're in this league, coach, or not, but I did just make a trade where I traded for Mason, and I think I gave up a second. I can't remember. I had several trades this past weekend, but my team is competing. I'm dying for a running back, so I traded a second for him. If I could limit the trade down to just the pick, I would be more comfortable with that. But only do that if you know you're winning, if you know you need to buy wins for now, because otherwise, like Coach said, if this doesn't work out, there's a world where you've bought nothing.
There's also a world where CMC doesn't come back. Like people are not mentioning that, but anybody, I mean, I live in North Carolina. I mean, we've seen this happen too many times with CMC. It's possible he doesn't play again the rest of the year.
And I actually tend to believe that might be the case.
Yeah.
Season for the Niners hasn't gone as planned. Lots of injuries all over the place. Hopefully, Hoff isn't listening anymore. He's a big Niners fan, so probably doesn't want to hear this. But I do think there's a world where CMC shuts it down and, they just punt it to next year for another run at the championship. I mean, Mason's good enough to be serviceable for the 49ers because they have players everywhere.
Yeah, I saw like bilateral Achilles tendonitis, something. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's always been soft tissue type stuff with him. So there's no telling with CMC. He really may not come back. Yeah,
This
or if things take a turn for the better, he may be back sooner than you think. I don't know.
Yeah. So I would start by just trying to limit that trade down if you can, just a little bit, so you're not overpaying too much. But I mean, if CMC doesn't play and you traded a second for Mason and he plays all year, then it's probably going to end up being pretty good, especially if your team's playing well. This might be my favorite question we've had all night. It's the most fun, and I just want to hear your answer, Coach, and you break it down. Aaron Rodgers or Andy Dalton for the super flex?
Yeah, I'm verifying who they're playing right quick. The problem here lies in that both teams are playing good defenses, right? I mean, the Jets have the Vikings. Flores has been phenomenal. As a whole, they've played pretty solid defense. Now, of course, Andy Dalton's going against my Bears. Now, the Packers had more success against Flores this past week than has been happening. Just ultimately, overall, Rodgers is a better quarterback than Andy Dalton. I'm going with Aaron Rodgers. Again, Andy Dalton has played well. He's made Panthers wide receivers and the backfield, and everything has gotten better when Andy Dalton's played quarterback. Panthers are still going to win 5 games, and in my opinion, maybe one of the dumbest moves they could have possibly made as an organization to play Andy Dalton. But that being said, Aaron Rodgers is still a better player. I'm playing Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, that about sums up my answer too. I'm going to go with the best player here. Give me Rodgers. The Dalton story's been fun, but I do think eventually one of these weeks the Panthers roster will catch up to them because they're not a very good team at all. And that might be this week against the Bears because the Bears defense is really good, especially their DBs. Their DBs are sticky. They stay right on top of whoever they're playing with. They're always in the right spot. So I kind of expect the matchup there to maybe not go as quite well as it has in the last few weeks.
Yeah, Jalen Johnson is an elite corner in Chicago. That'll make things even tougher for Andy Dalton. I see he also says he has a stack with Hubbard and Dalton. What are your thoughts on that, Matt? Does that matter?
No, it doesn't make a difference to me at all. I personally don't really value stacks that much. Um, if I can have a stack in, say, maybe a best ball league or a league that has more talent than Hubbard and Dalton, then that's fine. Like if we're talking about Chase Burrow, then that's a different story. That's an elite stack. For me, Hubbard, I mean, he's a running back, so you're really not going to capitalize too much off the passing game with Dalton. So for me, I'm sticking with Rodgers here. What's going on, my friend Pete? How are we doing?
I'm good. I figured I'd pop in. I just got home, so I figured I'd check in on you guys and stop by at the end of your show here.
Hey, well, we're glad you were able to make it. We've been going through some good start sit questions here. I'm dying to know your answer. Where do you fall on the Rodgers Dalton Superflex play this week?
So Rogers has the Vikings. Dalton Panthers. Panthers are playing
Bears.
Bears.
Bears defense is
so-
pretty good, but
Here's a thought. He says he has Hubbard for the stack. To me, that matters here because I just don't think the Panthers are going to score a ton of points. So if I'm going to play Hubbard, then I'm definitely not playing Dalton. For instance.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point. Especially you're playing a good defense, so you're kind of capped a little bit if you're playing both, especially in a game that's not going to be probably really high scoring. So yeah, I think I'd roll the dice with Rodgers, who's probably pissed off after last week. So I think I would roll the dice with that. I mean, and not for nothing, like this Brian Flores has been great. Don't get me wrong, but it seems like we're also a lot of people are forgetting that the Packers almost came back in that game last week.
Comeback
so
too.
yeah. So I know Harrison. I think Harrison Smith and Gilmore were banged up. I don't remember if they ended up playing or not. So yeah, I think I'd roll with Rodgers.
Yeah, Rodgers for me as well.
Yeah.
Robert Glenn.
I thought you might have came on here just to remind me that the Braves are losing.
Oh yeah, because I had the Phillies. I got the Phillies. Hoff's a Mets fan too, by the way. So we got the trio.
Well, the Mets let us in. Let's be honest. So.
That is true. I mean, at that point they had nothing to play for. So, especially on a short day where they're gonna have to travel next day. You figure might as well just rest some of those guys.
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah. But cool. All right. Well, hey, look, I'm just here as a guest, so you can just keep running and doing your thing.
All right. Well, we will carry on. Enough with your baseball shenanigans, you two.
Anthony would not be happy.
It's football season, y'all. It's football season. All right, let's get to Robert's question here. He says, in a redraft league, would you drop Braylon Allen or Chase Brown for Wicks? Do you see Wicks as a hold, even when Watson comes back? We had a similar question earlier, so I'm going to let Pete answer this one. I want to hear what he has to say.
It depends. It depends if you need to win this week. I think Wicks has a really nice matchup. The target share is there. I thought I saw something to the effect of routes run where a wide receiver is targeted in the either end zone or red zone. Wicks is like top 5 in the NFL actually, which is actually kind of surprising. So yeah, I think it just depends if you're looking to win this week. If you're in a must win, you have depth at running back, I wouldn't mind dropping Allen because let's be honest, Chase Brown has a much more of a chance to secure the RB1 role in his offense than Braylon Allen does in his. Both these guys will have value, but I would definitely be comfortable picking Wicks up and dropping Braylon Allen in this situation. I don't know where you guys fall, but
how much of the Wicks target share is a result of the Packers being down so much? I mean, I think Love threw the ball over 50 times.
Yeah, and that's definitely a fair point. The one thing about Jordan Love is he is kind of has a little Favre in him, where like he is not afraid to just like take deep shots and take chances.
Fling the rock.
Which you gotta like for fantasy. But yeah, to your point, they did throw the ball a ton. But if Christian Watson's out and Jordan Love loves Christian Watson, like I think Wicks and Tucker Kraft kind of split that red zone target share. I don't think Jaden Reed's goes up much, but I don't know. I mean, it's a good matchup for him this week. So if you needed to win this week, like I'll take, for example, I'm 1-3. I'm dropping a lot of FAB on Wicks this week, which my waivers go through tonight. I'm dropping a lot of FAB because I need to start Wicks. It's either Wicks or Josh Downs for me this week. And I love Josh Downs too. But I mean, if Richardson's back, I don't know if I'm ready to roll the dice on Josh Downs in a league where I'm 1-3. I think I'd go Wicks. So I'll put my money where my mouth is. I would still take the upside with Wicks over Allen or Brown. For me, I prefer Brown over Allen though.
I would keep Brown over Allen as well. You summed it up perfectly. And which one of these guys could lead their backfield? Yeah. I don't think any of us are going to say Allen's going to lead that backfield.
Well, honestly, go ahead. Go
Well,
ahead.
I think Wicks, for instance, I think it comes back to this week, right? Because people are forgetting the Watson thing in this. Like Wicks
Yeah.
will retreat back when Watson returns in a week or two. Like that, if it's a long-term play over the course of the season, then I'm not rushing to necessarily grab Wicks. If I have to win right now, that's different.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it really depends on roster construction. If Braylon Allen and Chase Brown are like your fourth and fifth running backs, Allen could be disposable depending on your situation. If you're in a situation where you need to win and you have the depth at running back, it might be worth taking a chance on Wicks, who might give you 2 strong weeks and then come back to earth when Watson comes back, because Watson's not going on IR, they said. So it seems like it's a 1 to 2 week thing at this point.
Yeah. And Sam says, thanks, guys, for the opinions. FF Face Off, my new favorite podcast. That's what we love to hear.
Nice.
That's right. Like that thing.
We gotta get you guys. I know we're streaming off our YouTube, but we gotta see if did you try going streaming off your YouTube same time, or did it not work?
I just didn't even
Yeah.
try that yet. We added the X, and I figured that was enough for today.
Yeah, we'll get it so it can double stream on both for sure. So it looks like Sam might be the last comment, though. I don't know if anybody else is in here. You guys have been going for an hour 16. Is there anything? You're the host, but I do have a question for
go ahead.
both of you. In terms of the NFL, where we are week 4, the Chiefs, right? Do we feel like, they're winning in spite of all of these injuries, to Pacheco, Rice? Do we still feel like 1 seed is they're most likely going to? I mean, say they don't add a receiver. Say Rashee Rice comes back in a couple weeks. It's not a torn ACL. Do you think that there is a chance? And Jacob Scott, yeah, we'll pull your question next. Do you think there's a chance that they still get the 1 seed, or do they have to add, in your opinion, to that room in order for them to accomplish that?
Coach, you want to go first? Or you want me to?
I'll go. I think they're going to need to add a little something. I mean, I don't know how much. When you have Patrick Mahomes, like, he's that good. They could still end up as the 1 seed, possibly.
Yeah.
But I think they really got to go out and get an okay wide receiver. They don't have to go get somebody special, but they got to go get another okay guy that can draw some attention there.
Yeah. Matt, what do you think?
Yeah, I think they definitely could benefit from adding someone, but I don't think they have to. Here's what we know about the Chiefs. They are probably the best coach team in the league. And they also happen to have probably the best defensive coordinator in the league. Spags is he's unbelievable. He gives everybody fits every single week, and that D-line just performs. I mean, Chris Jones is unbelievable. He is an absolute disruptor at all times in the game. So I don't think they have to. I do think they should. Doesn't mean I don't think they should, but I think this team is well coached enough. You have Patrick Mahomes. They can kind of float around until they figure it out. I mean, to your point,
I would almost say this: they might can still get the 1 seed, but I don't know that they're going to win a Super Bowl if they don't get a little something.
I mean, do you think getting a running back should be more of a priority? Like, I mean, they've been getting by, I guess, with Kareem Hunt. They have P. Ryan Clyde's coming back, it sounds like, in a week. Like, is it worth it to go to a team that maybe isn't contending, like that's willing to move off of a running back? I mean, take the Panthers and Chuba Hubbard, right? Like, maybe the Panthers are out of it. Do they move a guy like him with Jonathan Brooks coming back? And, is their team maybe running backs the route, or maybe they bring in a cheap guy like an Adam Thielen, who's a veteran. So, yeah, I don't know what they're going to do at this point. I don't think they're going to do a splashy move like a lot of people think. Like Devontae Adams to them is just, I just think it's super. I mean, people, we see trades in division, but not trades to a division rival in season. That's pretty much a needle mover for a Super Bowl contender.
I've seen Keenan Allen mentioned there too this week. Keenan Allen as a
that is a good one too.
Him
That's
and
who
Adam
I was-
Thielen seem like ideal fits to me.
Yeah.
Well, you said the Panthers, and I thought you were going to say Deontay Johnson.
Yeah, my thing with they just traded for Deontay. I know that there's been talk, but like, I feel like they would maybe I feel like they'd try to work out an extension to keep him there before they would try to trade him. I mean, I know that was talked about, but like they just gave up assets to get him this offseason, and he's playing well. So, yeah.
Did you see
I don't know.
where was it Adam Schefter basically said Deontay Johnson won't be a Panther next year anyway?
I saw
Just
it.
the other
Yeah,
day.
I saw that. Yeah, and I mean, who knows? Look, Deontay, if he gets fed I mean, maybe he wants to stay. I also think he probably saw life with Bryce Young and life with the Steelers, and now life with Andy Dalton, and is probably thinking to himself, "This is kind of nice." And good for him. I mean, if Dalton keeps playing well, he's working himself into a nice payday probably too. At the end of the year, but I don't want to derail things. I mean, you guys probably got what, like 5-10 minutes left. It's totally up to you guys, but there's
Yeah.
questions that came through. So if you guys want to grab that one from Jacob Scott, Matt, and roll with some of these later ones, and then we'll sign out of here.
Yeah, let me see.
I got you.
Where's this question at? Here we go. Yeah. So I have Patrick Mahomes and Andy Dalton on my bench. I know this one teammate wants Andy Dalton. Should I throw in Andy Dalton and AJ Brown for James Cook and Deontay Johnson? Ooh, coach, there's your guy, James Cook. How we feeling?
Oh yeah, I mean, I think I like that, but I mean, then you have another problem at running back, in my opinion, with when you had Kyron Williams and James Conner. I mean, if you're gonna stick one of those guys in your flex, then I would do that totally. But if not,
Well, he'd be getting Cook, coach. And he's moving Andy Dalton and AJ Brown for Cook and Deontay Johnson. So he'd have
If he
Cook,
has-
Kyron, and Connor.
yeah, I'm saying he's one of those running backs would then move into the flex for him, I
Mhm.
guess. So yeah, I mean, I wouldn't hesitate to throw in Andy Dalton. I mean, I'd try it without it first, probably, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, see what they want, but
Mhm.
all right. Well, let's get back up to speed here. Where'd we leave off? I think we're with Robert. Says you guys are legit. Hey, we appreciate you being here, Robert. Thanks for tuning in. Michael says thoughts on who I should deal Connor for, packing him up with another player to move up. So if you guys had a tier up from Connor, where are we heading?
It's such a tough question. I mean, we don't have context. We don't have context on his team. It's hard to know like what kind of receivers you could even if you told me, hey, these are my receivers I could pair Connor with, who would you try to go get? It'd be a little bit easier, but it's hard to answer the question if we don't really know. I mean, it's kind of just tough. I mean, Connor is a mid RB2. I think that's fair to say, right? Like a little bit more of a higher end RB2, mid to high end, like has his spike weeks. I mean, if you're going for like, are you tearing up at running back? Or are you tearing up at wide receiver? Like, it's just kind of hard to gauge there. Maybe you can get B-Rob from somebody if you packaged Connor with an okay receiver like a Shakir, like we kind of talked about before. Maybe something like that can get you to a B-Rob. I'm not sure, but it's hard to know without knowing the roster construction.
Yeah, and Connor's an ideal guy in a dynasty world that you want to buy if you're competing. You want to move if your team's bad. Try to collect a draft pick for him down the road here. I mean, Connor's the exact type of guy that's going to be moved in the next couple of weeks in dynasty leagues, one way or another.
I agree with you two fellas. Trump Force says the Ravens are coming for that 1 seed. You guys think that's going to happen?
I mean, it's tough to say.
I would put if I had to bet on a team right now to be the 1 seed, I'm going to bet on the Bills. I think they've looked the best. I know they got destroyed the other night, but that happens sometimes.
The Ravens, I don't see the Ravens getting 1 seed. I see them winning their division though when it's all said and done, but not.
Yeah, I'm not ready to make predictions yet. I mean, look, take the Ravens 0-2 start. Now they're 2-2, and one of those wins is against Dallas, who kind of fraudulent so far, and then
Yeah.
but they do beat the Bills, right? So it's like it's kind of just hard. I think once we get to like week 6, I get a better feel for like what these teams are going to be, but it's really tough to say at this point for me too. If I had to guess today, I'd say no.
All right. Yeah. Well, let's speed through these last few here so we can get everyone's question done on air. Tyler Sperry says, "Would you drop Ford or Charb for Sermon?" Coach, you dropping either one of those for Sermon this week?
This week, if I have to win, I would go grab Sermon. If not, I'd probably hang on the Sharp. But if
Pete?
I have to win this week, I'll take Sermon.
Yeah, I would drop Ford for Sermon just because they're down 3 starting offensive linemen. They're I think they're 31st in the NFL for EPA. And
Mhm.
Charbonnet is always a nice handcuff because Kenneth Walker like tends to get banged up a lot. So
Yep.
Mhm.
I completely agree with all that. Sean Randall says 8-man full PPR start 1 QB, 2 running back, 2 wide receiver, 2 flex, and 1 defense. Let's look at his team here. He's got Josh Allen, Love, Walker, Cook, B Rob, Chase, Marvin Harrison Jr., Moore, Flowers, Shaheed, Conklin, Likely, Vikings, Ravens. Adds JMO is on waivers. Who would you drop to pick him up?
Likely. I mean, he's got Conklin. This is an 8-man league, and you can
Yeah.
only get Likely and Conklin. There's no better tight ends out there.
I know, right?
It's a tough world.
Like I'm starting Josh Allen at quarterback. There's my quarterback for me. I
Way to
mean,
take the easy one.
well, I did. I beat you to it.
Stepped up.
I mean, would you drop one of these defenses for JMO?
Does he have? Oh, he has Vikings
He has
and
2
Ravens.
defenses, so that's probably where I would start personally.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
I mean, who do Ravens have this week?
let me look. I just closed out of it. I'm sorry. They have Cincy. They play the Bengals.
Yeah, I would drop Ravens for Vikings. I'd stick with the Vikings and pick up JMO.
Yep.
In terms of the starts, Sean, maybe we're here on Wednesday. Maybe send that into the mediators on X or send it into the video at the end. Yeah, we'll be here all week, so just maybe ask us. We'll have a better feel to once we get closer to game time. So
yeah. Let's say Andrew's question here. He says, fellas, do I trade Brian Thomas Jr. and Bucky or Hunt for Tyreek? My wide receivers are Amon Ra, Rice, Higgins, Reed, Thomas. My running backs are Kyron, Cook, Bucky, and Hunt. 2-2.
I think it depends. He's 2-2. If you think you're going to win this week and your matchups look okay the next 2 weeks and you can hold out until Tyreek gets Tua back, like maybe. I mean, Tyreek's obviously a nice upgrade over Thomas. But it's just a matter of like if you think you can win this week and you feel comfortable, with the rest of your roster until Tyreek gets Tua back. So,
yeah, man, that Rice injury hurts him too. That's some tough timing.
Yeah, that is tough timing.
Coach, any thoughts here?
Yeah, and the Rice thing hurts, but I mean, Brian Thomas Jr. the dude can play. Like if this was Dynasty, this is easy, obviously. And redraft right here, yeah. Is Tua going to come back? Well, they're saying he is.
Yeah.
Obviously, I mean, is Tua that good? That's the question. I texted that to Matt yesterday. Like, is Tua this good that all these other guys are just pitiful, or is Tua actually good? You know what I mean?
Maybe McDaniels is not the genius we thought he was too, though. Like, granted, Tim Boyle shouldn't even be in the NFL. Skylar Thompson thinks. I thought Tyler Huntley was going to be better than this. To be completely honest, I thought they would be somewhat okay. So yeah, I don't know. I think given the fact that he has Rice, like I think it's too much of a risk to take on Tyreek and Hunt here. I would just hold Brian Thomas. win this week, maybe go back to the Tyreek owner in a week or two and see if he wants to make a deal again. If Brian Thomas continues to play well, that would be my strategy, because he's 2-2 and he just lost Rice. So,
and Brian Thomas has had 9 targets each of the last 2 weeks, so he's a focal point of the offense. They're already down Ingram. They have to win. They're going to have to score points. So I think he remains involved. He's been the best wide receiver in Jacksonville. Not to mention you have Bucky Irving, who's the future RB1 of Tampa Bay. I'm going to keep saying that until everyone believes me.
Speak it into existence.
I will. I sure will. But I think that's going to do it for us, everybody. We appreciate everyone tuning in. Be sure to like and subscribe on the show. Follow us over on X at the FF Mediators. Be sure to give Pete a follow as well over on X at Supernova38. He's one of the best in the game. Great guy. Coach, any final remarks?
Nope. Appreciate you guys tuning in.
All right. Well, until next time, be sure to like and subscribe, like I said, and we will catch you next Wednesday at 8:30.